Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with Zoo, Season 3, Episode 9, Review. Personally, I didn't mind this episode. I thought it was a good one. But I think that some things were just a little like too many things were expected. Like there really wasn't much suspense in this, and I don't know. I like the way that the storyline went in this one. Kind of maybe saw the end of Abigail's sort of reign as the villain. And we saw the whole thing with Mitch and Mr. Duncan. So there were some good parts in it, definitely. Don't get me wrong, but there was some parts where I just kind of was off a little bit. And again, we only saw, I think, maybe 2-3 locations, or probably 3, yeah, the plane, and then, like, Abigail's thing in Copenhagen, and Logan at the IEDG. So, I don't know, it's interesting. And, I mean, this wouldn't be a criticism if the show was usually in 3 spots, but it's never in 3 spots usually. In season 1, we were in 4 different cities in 4 different countries in one episode, right? So just like a big change right now, and the storyline's kind of not as exciting either, right? So not as much mystery. But anyways, let's get right into the recap here. I apologize for this one being late. I've just had trouble with this show. I mentioned it last time as well, that I watched episodes and I totally forget about the review over the weekend, and that's what happened with this one. So I apologize for that. And my next one should be up on time on Friday. I will try my best. So yeah. Anyways, so this one resumes right where we left off, right in the plane there, Jamie is able to get up, and she flips the master switch, but when she does, the plane kind of, jerks up, I guess, and she gets hit against the wall, gets knocked out, and yeah, so that was kind of an interesting thing there, kind of an unfortunate thing there. Yeah, we kind of all knew that was going to happen. We knew that she was going to get up, hit the master switch, but it was a suspenseful scene nonetheless, right? I mean, still, a lot of stuff could go wrong, and we knew that the plane wasn't going to go down. That's just, like, we knew that wasn't going to happen. We knew that they weren't going to die, but still just kind of, building a little bit of suspense there. And then Max tells her that Mitch isn't on the plane anymore when she wakes up from being knocked out, or comes to, I guess. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. So obviously we find out that Mitch parachuted off or something like that. And I'm not sure how possible that is either. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a little weird, because he parachutes off of there, and he just lands in a city there, we see. So it's kind of a little bit of bogus there, but anyways, it is what it is. So then Dariella tells Abe that her and Isaac are leaving after they almost died in this plane crash, and Abe says he's not going with her, and Isaac, he really wants to stay and find the cure to sterility, and when he does, then he will go and join them. It was a really emotional send-off moment. I mean, I really thought the acting was great in this, from Nonso Ananzi, and Dariella's, the actor who plays her as well. I thought it was really good. It felt really, really nice, really real. And yeah, so then the moment with Isaac and Abe was great as well. Just that father-son bond that they have. And in this, I mean, I kind of support both Abe and Dariella. It just made sense for her to leave with Isaac, go home. I totally support what she's saying. You can't raise a kid on that plane. It just doesn't work. And yeah, so I totally agree. I think that Abe also has a point though too, because the cure for sterility is really important as well. So I think both of them are right here, and I think it's a good decision for Dariella to go with Isaac, and then Abe goes on with the team. And also, Dariella's finally gone. To me, she's been more of an annoyance than a help this season so far. I mean, she has done some good things, but I feel like she's just kind of that, like that person that's kind of like always the negative person that's tying people down, sort of thing. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel. But so she's finally off the plane now, and I suspect that her storyline isn't over by any means. But yeah, so I think we will see her again this season. So then, yeah, we find out. I'm just going to address him as Mr. Duncan in this, although we all know that he's Mitch as well. But I'm just going to say Mr. Duncan for this recap. So, Mr. Duncan parachutes out of this plane, and so you just see him, like walking around the city after he parachuted. So, I don't know. So he calls Abigail. He says the biodrive isn't working properly, and he can't speak right. He's kind of slurred speech, and he's kind of walking around kind of funny. So obviously we know something's wrong. And she says, Abigail says that he needs to come home, and I thought that was just really creepy. I mean, that just like turned me off totally. It's like that's just so weird. Like, need to come home. I don't know. It was kind of it was like a mother thing to say to Mr. Duncan. It's like her own creation. I don't know. It was really weird. But then Mr. Duncan tells Abigail exactly what the team's up to, and he tells her about Clem, and he says Mitch's son Clem. So we know at this point that he's totally different than Mitch. He's not. Mitch is gone at this point, and it's a big deal. So then the IADG eliminates the first nest, and I'm liking this storyline with Logan, to be honest. I am a big fan of it. I think having him have his own little spin-off here is cool. I'm not sure how that storyline is going to connect to what they're doing right now. Maybe they're going to find a way to stop the hybrids. I don't know. But they get this first nest, but they say 22 soldiers died in the process. So, I don't know, like, I don't understand how 22 died. Maybe they didn't go in with the right equipment or something, but then why didn't all of them die? I don't know. It's just kind of a confusing thing for me. Maybe I'm missing something, but, Logan says they can't figure out how to stop the spores, but, like, if 22 soldiers died, how did they still eliminate the nest? Right? Like, how was everyone not affected? Maybe these 22 guys took off their masks or something. I don't know exactly how it worked, but obviously tragic death for 22 of the soldiers, just trying to stop these nests and eliminate them, and they died. So, yeah, that was interesting, kind of confusing. So then Jamie gets Logan to bring in. Now, I'm not sure about this name, but Jared Maccabee, I think, was his name, and he's basically a retired shepherd, and so yeah, so we see Logan back again, and that was kind of weird as well, because I mean, Logan was at IDG in Colorado or something, and he just comes on this plane with this shepherd guy. So I actually didn't think about that until after the episode, and I said, how is he on the plane? And then, in the next few scenes, he's back at the IDG. So, I don't know, a really, kind of confusing thing there as well. And so basically, Jared's there to help them find Mitch. Jamie makes a deal with him that when they find Mitch, when they find Mitch and have a meeting with Abigail, then, Abigail is all Jared's, and he can kill her himself, because he's out for blood for Abigail after what she did to the shepherds. So and I'm perfectly fine with that too. She can die. I would like to see Jackson or one of the team do it, but I'd be okay if he took care of it. So then Abigail meets with Sam Parker, and this is the real one, not the other guy, the white guy that we met before, and this is Clem's baby's father, and basically it's pretty sad because Sam actually seems like a good guy. He seems totally unrelated to Abigail. I don't think he's working for her or whatever, but she basically lies to him about Jackson and the team completely, and just like poisons him with all this stuff about how they tried to kill him, and whatever, they're trying to kill the baby, stuff like that. And we all know that it's a bunch of lies. It's nothing of it is truthful. So then we see Sam have a moment with Jackson. Obviously, he's been lied to, so he thinks Jackson's doing something to him. Jackson isn't able to get through to him. He keeps saying, telling him, she's lying to you, whatever. And Sam doesn't like him. and he ends up pushing him, until Abigail comes in, breaks it up. So he was like just about to throw punches at him or something, but wouldn't really been an equal fight because Jackson's chained up to the roof there, the ceiling. But yeah. Anyways, it was kind of a interesting scene, but really sad that Sam's been the truth has just totally escaped him, right? I mean, he's being lied to, and he just thinks that's the truth. So yeah. So then Jackson talks to Abigail. And this was a really interesting scene for this season. Helped develop us, gave us a lot of knowledge to it as well. So he talks to Abigail, finds out she's a hybrid herself. So this was kind of maybe a little expected. I kind of saw it coming, that she was actually a hybrid, and that is why she can communicate with the other hybrids. And yeah, so that's sort of how the whole connection is. So it makes sense to me. I kind of saw this one coming, because we do know that her DNA is in all of the hybrids as well, or maybe we don't know that yet, but they kind of led us to believe that. And so yeah, this wasn't too surprising, but still a big deal. And so then we also find out that she's the missing spinal fluid sample, and she's like the sixth hybrid that they have to get. Now, I think they have 3 so far. Yeah, 3, maybe 4, 3 or 4. So they only need 1 or 2 more samples, and then supposedly they can try to make this cure for sterility. So yeah, so I'm not sure if that includes Clem's baby being born or not. We'll have to see. If it is, I mean, she's only, I think, a few months in, or maybe a couple months into her pregnancy, so they're gonna have to wait a while. I'm not sure how that's gonna go. So I would think maybe that they could still do it when the baby is in her stomach, but or not in her stomach, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's interesting, but yeah, kind of expected. Again, like I was saying before, but still an interesting twist. So then Max and the shepherd Jared, and Max is still here, which is hilarious. I love his character. They're able to locate Mitch, and they find out that he's in Copenhagen, and they basically go to get him and Jackson, with Jamie and Abe. So basically, they find Sam Parker sitting in the chair there, and we find out he's the bait for Abigail's plan. And again, this was totally expected. We knew that Sam is on Abigail's side this whole time. We know that he's faking them out or whatever, right? So that wasn't a big surprise either that he was sitting there. And so Abe says, that he has to take him back to the plane to save the baby, as soon as possible. Because they're kind of, they're not really running out of time, but when Clem gets out of that tank, they only have 3 days. So they need the blood transfusion, as soon as possible. Obviously, we find out later that there's some complications with that. But yeah, so Abe takes him back. Then Jackson finally gets free from these chains. And a thing here is, I mean, he kind of figures out, that if he puts all his weight and he kind of tugs on the chains from the ceiling, that they're going to come down. But in my opinion, I think that he's been here, I think, for 2 days or one day, one night. And so if he's there for that long, it took him that long to figure out that he just had to put all of his weight on it for the chains to break off. I mean, I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird that he wouldn't figure that out faster. But I don't know. I was expecting maybe, Mitch or something like that to get him free. But he ended up getting free himself. So I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of that. He grabs a syringe from the little drawer there. And at the time, we don't know what it's for. But obviously, it comes back later on. Then he attacks Abigail when she comes in. He has her in a chokehold, and honestly, she's almost dead. She can barely breathe anymore. He's on her, and he never hesitated. I mean, not once. I mean, this is his sister, but he knew that she had to die, and obviously, it's a big deal for Jackson, but he does it. No, he doesn't even flinch. But of course, she's almost dead. of course, she can't die this soon. So then Duncan comes in, knocks Jackson out, and saves Abigail. So yeah, there's a lot of knockouts, by the way, in this episode. I mean, Jackson got knocked out, Jamie got knocked out, Mr. Duncan got knocked out. I mean, I think there was one more, maybe Abigail. Yeah, Abigail at the end there as well. So like, there's a lot of knockouts in this episode. Kind of too much for my liking. I feel like there could have been a couple more deaths, maybe. Well, I don't know. You can't really kill Jackson or Jamie off, but I guess I don't know. I would have just liked to see maybe more. Maybe like they send him to the ground and then they have control. So I don't know. But it's kind of like a what the fuck moment, right? When Duncan knocks Jackson out, it's like like come on, she was almost dead, whatever. So then we see back on the plane. Abe performs this blood transfusion with Sam, and she hooks it all. He hooks it all up to the tank with Clementine in there, and all of a sudden Clem, starts having, it looks like a seizure. She, starts going crazy in the tank, and she still isn't, fully awake yet in the tank. She's still, kind of in that state. So basically, this cord then, like I said, is attached to Clem, and the blood transfusion goes through, and we see that happen. But also, we already learned that Abigail gave Sam something in his blood before, and that is probably what is affecting it, and that's what's doing it now. And why Sam, wouldn't tell Abe that, I'm not sure. Because I think Sam actually does care about Clem and the baby. I just think that, he's been lied to so much by Abigail. He doesn't really know what is true and what is not at this point. Or at least he knows lies are the truth, right? So, that's kind of what that is. And also, this question then comes, would she kill a baby? Was the whole thing to put whatever in Sam's blood to kill this baby and to kill Clem maybe even? I don't know. I don't know if that's past the line for Abigail because she's done crazy things already. I wouldn't, honestly, at this point, I wouldn't put her above it. But it's a big deal. If this baby dies, the cure to sterility may never be found. It's obviously a big deal. So her killing it, I'm not sure what that accomplishes for her. But obviously, something good for her. If she is, in fact, she did do this. And maybe it's an accident, I don't know, but I think it's more of a purposeful thing than an accident. So then the shepherd Jared finds Abigail, holds her at gunpoint. He shoots and he fries all of her computers and technology there. And I think, she acts like it's no big deal, but it seems like it is. I mean, that's all of her, programming, all that stuff's on the computers, and he destroys all of it. So I think maybe she's playing it down. She says, that's no big deal. I can control him from wherever. But I think this was like her big base in Copenhagen now. So I don't know. I think she was playing it down a little bit. And then that scene obviously carries on a little bit later with more stuff there. So then the team finds Mr. Duncan. He kind of shoots crazily at them. It's kind of funny though, because he shoots. It ended up being 17 rounds, and he misses every single shot. I mean, he didn't even hit one. And they were like straight there in the hallway, and he was, here. So I don't know. I think that's maybe a little bit unrealistic. I think maybe you have, max shot or something like that. I don't know, but it just seemed like someone needed to get shot in that scene, and no one did. So then Jamie goes out for him. Everyone's saying don't go. And so we learn that she's pretty smart. She thought about it. She says, she counted the rounds. She knew that he had none left because he had shot 17 off. And that's how much, I guess, that kind of gun holds. And so Duncan pulls the trigger on her, and it's empty. Thank God. Jamie would have died right there and then. And Jamie kind of catches Duncan by surprise then, takes him out, knocks him out. Again, another knockout, like I said. And Max and Jackson decide to split up and try to find Abigail. So yeah, really interesting scene, but Jamie risks a lot here. I mean, she easily could have died. And she says afterwards she honestly didn't expect him to pull the trigger. So obviously she hasn't got it through her head that this isn't Mitch anymore. Mitch is gone. So, and it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. So then Maccabee, the shepherd guy, he's about to pull the trigger on Abigail, and Jackson takes him down. I mean, this is, kind of an aggravating moment. I mean, those two are fighting when Abigail is just let free, and now, she's fine. She's not being, she was about to be killed, right? Like, I don't know how that's bad. Jackson starts fighting him. I mean, my question is, why the hell would Jackson do that? Right? The only idea I can get is to protect the spinal fluid sample because he got the syringe, and we find out later that he takes it. So maybe he thought, if Abigail's dead, I can't get the sample. But they've took it from dead hybrids before. So I'm not sure exactly if that makes sense. But maybe even a deeper thing is that maybe he does actually care about her because she's his sister. But then why would he choke her out with no hesitation earlier on? So I don't know. It's a really confusing thing here. I don't know why the hell Jackson did that. So Maccabee basically wins the fight. He has Jackson in a chokehold, about to kill him. A lot of choking in this one too. I think 2 or 3 chokeouts. He's about to kill him, just like Abigail was. She could hardly breathe. Jackson can hardly breathe. And then we knew that something was going to happen. Obviously, Jackson wasn't going to die. So Abigail shoots Maccabee off of Jackson and kills him. I think she pulls the trigger like 3 times and shoots him. So it was kind of funny. But so she saves Jackson here. And I think she says, I'm not done with you yet, or something like that. She has more stuff to test with him, I guess. So I don't know, kind of interesting. She's the one with the gun at this point, right? So Jackson basically gets up and he's able to take her gun, and he basically throws her against the wall, or that the pole there, and basically just with all of his force throws her against the wall, and she hits head first, and that knocks her out. And it's a pretty big blow, too. I mean, that could have maybe even killed her. And we find out later on that, she doesn't have a pulse. But anyway, so knocks her out. He kind of turns her over. We're kind of wondering, like, what's going to happen here. So he takes the syringe that he grabbed earlier in the lab room, and he stabs it into her back on her spine. And this is a pretty gruesome moment. I mean, to see that, it was kind of gross. And does that actually work is my question. I mean, can you actually put a syringe in your spine and then take the fluid out? I don't think that's how it works, to be honest. I would doubt it, but it is that kind of show. But I don't know, it's just really gruesome. Maybe that is how you do it, I don't know. But it would look like it would hurt. I mean, if Abigail was alive, or not alive, she is alive, but not knocked out, I think that would hurt a lot. So he gets the fluid sample from her, and he calls for help from Max and Jamie for help with Abigail because he doesn't feel a pulse, like I said before. So interesting. Obviously, that means that she's dead. Usually, no pulse means that. But I don't think she's dead yet. It's only episode 9. We got 4 episodes to go yet. So I doubt that she's dead. I think that maybe she's just, unconscious for a little bit longer. I don't know. We'll see how it ends. So then Max finds Jamie with Duncan, and Max. I mean, the whole episode, it's like intense scenes of him walking into rooms, and it's like there's no one there, and then eventually he just loops back to Jamie. So I don't know. I thought that's kind of unnecessary, but funny for Max's character. So Jamie lies to him and says that Mitch is back. Max says, "Oh, it's good to have you back, son," or something like that. And Jamie actually holds Duncan at gunpoint and says, she needs him right now rather than she needs Mitch because he's going to do something Mitch would never do. Something like that. And we kind of wonder, what is she up to? So really, she has this device. She can turn Duncan back into Mitch at any time, but she decides not to keep Duncan. So interesting there. I'm not sure what she's up to, but this is just a Jamie thing to do. Really, I mean, to be sort of suspicious, mysterious. We don't know what she's up to. So that's going to be interesting to see in the next episode. Maybe have him, enter into some of one of Abigail's systems or something to get information. I don't know, but we'll have to see. And then the episode ends with Logan and his new partner, Lee. I don't remember. Maybe it was Detective Lee or something like that. I don't think we got our first name. But they go down into these tunnels where this hybrid nest is in Seoul. And they walk down this long hallway, and it's filled with all this slime. At the end of the hall, there's this big room with the flaps, and they go into this room, and there are hundreds, and if not maybe thousands, of these eggs hanging from the ceiling. And it just goes on and on and on. I mean, it feels like it's like a mile long, this big room. And we hear the sound of them, kind of crawling around in the egg, and the big thing there, and it looks like an octopus in the egg that we saw. That kind of zooms in on one of them. And it looks like an octopus, sort of like the tentacles are kind of moving back and forth. So it looks like some sort of thing like that, like the hybrid that we saw on the plane. So it looks like maybe a hybrid like that laid eggs there. And also it sounded like they're ready to hatch really soon, because the noise was really loud. The egg you kind of heard like a little bit of cracking. So I don't know. It seems like they might be ready to hatch sooner than they think. And this nest obviously is dangerous, and they have to wear these suits. So what are they gonna do about it? We'll have to see. This is kind of Logan's new mission, so he's kind of in charge of this. So we'll see what kind of decisions he makes, and what Agent Garrison, I guess, makes as well, because he's kind of the boss. But yeah, so this is interesting. I mean, I don't see quite where this storyline's going to come in with the rest of the team on the plane. I don't know, maybe this is going to help them with the cure for sterility, maybe. But I would like this storyline to not just be, like a season 1, like they need to stop it to save humans. I'd like it to, have some part in the cure that the whole team's working on. Or maybe it might have some more information about Abigail. So we'll have to see. Obviously, they're going to have to take out this nest or something, because obviously these guys, they can't let them roam free. So that is the end of the recap there. I didn't include everything, but I think I included just enough. A lot of the stuff with Logan and IDG, it's usually just like a minute of like screen time, and it's just like him saying something, and then it leads to more stuff later. So I didn't include a lot of those scenes. And yeah, so anyways, now I'll get to my rating for this episode. So for this one, my rating is going to be a 4.1 out of 5. And I think this is a good rating. It might be a little low. I did like some of the stuff in this scene and this episode. Like I said, though, I mean, some things were just too, so, expected. There was no surprises, not many twists. I mean, we knew that, Duncan would save Abigail when Jackson was choking her out. We knew that. We knew that something was going to happen. We knew Abigail would save Jackson when Maccabee took him down. We knew Jamie was up to something with Mitch. Right when I went to her, I knew that, that was Duncan still, and it wasn't Mitch, and she was up to something. So I don't know, just a lot of expected things happened in this episode. Like, I wouldn't say cliches, but we just kind of knew it would happen. And the thing with Sam as well, we knew that something was going to happen with the blood transfusion, because we saw earlier that Abigail did something to him. But I did, those are sort of the negatives, but I did like the suspenseful scene at the very beginning with Jamie kind of flipping that switch on. I like Jackson escaping and getting this whole plan against Abigail, getting the syringe at the end. That was interesting. Yeah, I mean, I liked Abe's role in this episode too. The whole thing with him and Dariella finally came to a close. So I like that. Well, not a close, but kind of that whole storyline ended up explaining itself and kind of ended. So yeah, that was good. I like the shepherd guy. I mean, I don't really see what his purpose was. Yeah, he got them to Mitch, got them the location or whatever. But after that, I mean, the whole thing was he was supposed to get Abigail when they were done with them. But of course, he sneaks off. Again, another expected thing. And I don't know, like, I just don't think that, his whole character was really needed. I mean, kind of, I don't know, just some things kind of turned me off of this episode. But there were some positive as well. I like I've been saying, and a lot of stuff leading up to next episode as well. The whole thing with Jamie and Duncan. Logan's storyline here is going to be really, really cool to see what they do with this nest in the future. So good things building on to next week. And that's really all you can ask for. Like I say all the time with these shows, you just want good stuff setting up next week where you want to tune in again. So yeah, that is what it is. Not a bad episode. It wouldn't be one of my probably not top 5 for this season even. But it was not bad. Definitely not my worst five. Although I mean there hasn't been even 10 episodes yet, so I couldn't even make that list. So maybe not my worst three. Yeah. So there you go. My favorite character for this one is Jackson Oz. Now I don't know why or how he hasn't been my favorite character yet. I was looking over my stuff here, but yeah, for this one, Jackson. I mean, just him escaping the chains finally was great. Him talking to Abigail. He has, a lot of guts to try to like choke her out there. He doesn't even hesitate with that. So that was good just to see kind of his ruthlessness, right? And yeah, and James Woke is the actor who plays him. He's been great. I mean, he was in. I saw him in Billions as well. He was in I think a couple episodes of that show, and I like that show by the way a lot. But he was great in that. I mean, he's just a great actor, and he really steals the show away. His acting in this is great. A lot of the acting in this show is really good. And Billy Burke is also one of my favorite guys in this as well. So, yeah, great main character. Never ceases to amaze me with the stuff he does. And yeah, I feel like Jackson is kind of like he's kind of like an anti-hero in a way as well. In earlier seasons he had that pupil or whatever, so he was kind of the bad guy in a sense. So yeah, he's been a really diverse character in the series, and in this episode he was great. Really being a hero, really. I mean, stopping Abigail, getting the sample and all that. So anyways, great great way to segue into next week's episode. So we only got 4 episodes left of this show. And then that's sort of the end of the summer TV anyways, so kind of ends perfectly rounded off there. So anyways, 4 more episodes to go. We'll see where the season takes us. I'm not sure about a season 4 yet. I'm not sure if that's in the works or not. I'm not sure where they would take the storyline, but I'm sure that they can take it somewhere because, this season was kind of an unplanned one as well. So anyways, guys, we'll see you next week or in a few days now for my Zoo Season 3 Episode 10 review. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you then.